Okay, so this is one of those. I'm recording this. When am I recording this? On May 31st in 2018. So this is summer 2018, and I'm using the Thinkdo Scott Stevens Thinkdo textbook. And this is a problem from another book. I'm trying to kick it down the road a little bit. So what we did is they gave us this frequency table, and we had to work with it. They wanted us to find the mean and the standard deviation, and then the 5-number summary and the IQR for this group set of data. So because they just gave us this frequency distribution, we don't know the actual data. We need to do some estimation, and we're going to say on average, and Dr. Stevens talks about this, that the midpoint, we're just going to go with the midpoints and use that. So the way you do the midpoints is I average the two numbers in the class. So 60 plus 69 divided by 2 is 64.5, and I can do the same thing with 70 plus 79 divided by 2 is 74.5. But the other thing I'm noticing that these classes, these bins, are 10 wide. So really all I can do is add 10 to each of these, and that would be the easier way to do it. And then the frequencies, I list the frequencies. Now what you got to remember is this frequency of 12 means there's 12 numbers that fell into that bin or that class. So that's like having 12 64.5s and then 14 74.5s. So in all, I'm going to have 40 numbers, and they'll be spread out. I mean, there's only going to be 124.5. There'll be no 114.5s because the frequency is 0. So and so forth and so on. So it isn't just averaging these what others 7 numbers. We have to list out all the numbers. Okay, so to find the mean, I'll walk you through this since I'm here. To get the mean, we say, so if I have 12 64.5s, I add those up. Well, another way to do it is just multiply 64.5 times 12. And those 12 numbers add up to 774. And those 14 numbers add up to that, and so on and so forth. So all I did with the spreadsheet, just so you see the formulas, is multiply. Now, I don't know how you are with spreadsheets, but if you do equals, that tells it's going to be a fair. Let me get a pointer. I think I can get a pointer going here. So the equals tells the spreadsheet that you're going to do a formula. I clicked on the midpoint cell, and it put the 6 F point at the F4 there. Now, spreadsheet cells are columns and rows, so I don't know how. So if I want to talk with the cell where that 64.5 is, that's F4. If I want to talk about the cell where the 74.5 is, that's F5. The cell where this 12 is here, that's G4. So that's why you see F4 times G4. And that's what I did. I did equals to tell it the formula. I clicked on the 64.5. I did Shift 8, and that gives me a little asterisk, the time sign. And then I clicked on the G, and it gave me that. And then I entered. Well, I think I pressed entered. Here, entered. And then I could do that every time, but the beautiful thing about a spreadsheet is if you put your cursor on that little square and then fill down, it'll automatically fill down for you. See what it did? It just copied that formula down, and it did it for you. Then I found the sum of the frequencies, the sum of the products, and divided that sum of the products by 40, and I got that for a mean. And most people seem to be able to do that, and that's no problem. Now, to get the standard deviation, what we're going to do is, if you know the formula for the standard deviation, it's going to be the number we're talking about minus the mean. So that's what this is. See, I did that midpoint number, which is the number we're talking about, minus the mean, and I did that every time. Then we have to square it, because if I were just to add up these numbers here, I would get well, I wouldn't get 0 because of the frequencies. I'm going to shut up about that. But you got to square it because we got to cancel out. We try to find the average distance from the mean. So what I do is I square each of those differences, and all I did was, you have this link so you can click on these formulas and see. But I just squared that last number, that difference, and then because I can't just add up these numbers, because I've got 40 different numbers. And how many times did this 150 appear? Well, 12 times. So that's why here I did, well, let's try to edit it. Here, I did 12 times that number, and that found that product. I added them up. That's the sum. The variance is the sum divided by 1 less than the number of numbers, and I had 40 numbers, so 40 minus 1 is 39. Then the standard deviation, of course, is just the square root of that number, square root of the variance. So that's how we got the standard deviation. Now, to get the 5-number summary, I know there's 40 numbers. If I think about Dr. Stevens' method on page 23 of finding a 5-number summary, because even though this is a grouped data, it's exactly the same kind of thing. Here, let me get rid of that pointer. Let's see. And I'll come down here and use my... So I know there's 40 numbers. If I want to find the lower quartile is the same as the 25th percentile. So I'm going to multiply 40, the number of numbers I have, times 0.25, and I'm going to get 10. And then if you look at on page 23, Dr. Stevens says, if I want to find one of these quartiles in the median, and I multiply the percentile times my n, my sample size, and I get a whole number, he tells me I got to average the 10th number and the 11th number. So the 10th number plus the 11th number, and I'm going to divide by 2 because I get 2 numbers. So now I'm going to go look at my frequency table over here, and I'm seeing there's 12 numbers that are 64.5. Well, 12 of them are that number, and I'm looking for the 10th and the 11th. That means the 10th number is 64.5, and so isn't the 11th number. And if I average the same number, I'm going to get 64.5. So that tells me Q1, the lower quartile, is 64.5. If I'm looking for the median, I'm going to do 40 times 0.5, and that's 20. And it's the same deal. That's a whole number. So I got to average the 20th number and the 21st number. And if I go back and look at my frequency table, I see the 20th number. Let's see, 12 plus 14 is 26. So the 20th number is going to be a 74.5. And so wasn't the 21st number. So that tells me the median is 74.5. Then to find Q3, the upper quartile, here, let me get some more room here. That's going to be 40. Let's see. Yeah, that's going to be 40 times 0.75, the 75th number, and that's going to be 30. So again, the 30th number, the average of the 30th number and the 31st number divided by 2. Let's see if we have to do much math with this. So I see 12 plus 14 here. I see 12 plus 14 is 28 or 26, plus 11 more will make me what, 37. So that tells me the 30th and the 31st number are both in this bin, both in this class. So that makes so this is the median, and this is the Q1, and that makes that, what did I say, 84.5. Now, if I'm looking for the lower quartile, just a minute here. I'd like to go back and to be using the Paint app. Let's see. Okay. So if I'm looking for the IQR, let me see if I can move this over. So the IQR, remember, is the difference between Q1 and Q3. Well, if Q3, I see I wrote Q3 here. So 84.5 is Q3, 64.5 is Q1. That difference is 20. So that's the IQR. Okay, so hopefully that helps you do these kind of problems.